Welcome to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, our special Thursday edition. We're going to get kind of spicy tonight. So if you're sensitive about talking politics, or maybe you're a little more left leaning than right, everyone's welcome here. But I'm just going to warn you right off the bat that this is going to be uncensored. I don't give a fuck about swearing. I don't care about getting freaking blacklisted or ghosted or whatever on YouTube. We're just going to keep it real here tonight because it's too important. So who I have here, those of you that watch the show, I'm sure you've seen David before. He's on my Wednesday show. Me, him, and Jake have a show together where we talk about DeFi. But the other night after the show, me and David were talking, and he told me a little bit about his background and a job that he used to have. And I'm just going to go ahead and kick it over to him. But he told me some really eye-opening stuff there in California, where he worked for the state, and some of the things that he discovered. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick it over to you, brother, and just go ahead and kind of set the stage a little bit about what you did, and just kind of the job you had, and whatever it is that you feel is important.
Absolutely, Mike. So I used to work in healthcare in Contra Costa County in California, and Contra Costa County is a very wealthy county, and the work that I did as a case manager, I had 70 clients a week, I was very, very good at navigating the bureaucracy in California to get those clients that I worked for the services that they needed. Okay. So that's the framing. I worked as a case manager, knew how to navigate the bureaucracy. Now, one of the programs that I worked at was a Spanish speaking program. And my job was to make sure that the people who were attending that program got the services that they needed. So the majority of the people at this particular program were illegal aliens, which means they did not pay into the system from which they were drawing benefits from. So when someone would show up at the program, remember, we're talking about people who are at the very bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. They have nothing. They're destitute. And a bed at this particular program was around $6,000 a month. So number one, they don't pay into the system. Number two, they're drawing these benefits, but how do they become eligible for these benefits? Well, what we had to do first was get them a Medi-Cal ID. So I was instructed by my superiors, this is what you do. So we got them a Medi-Cal ID number. That was the first step. The second step, that basically was like a back door into getting them a social security number. So first, Medi-Cal ID. Second, social security number. Third, a driver's license and an identification card. And so when you get a driver's license, you can also register to vote, but there's no citizenship test. And you have to check a box online and say, oh yeah, I'm a citizen. But dude, there's no way of enforcing that. So people who were not here legally, non-citizens, are drawing massive benefits from the state and getting socials and getting driver's licenses and IDs and registering to vote. And, I worked with 70 people a week. So I can only imagine multiply what I did by thousands or tens of thousands of people, statewide, doing that type of work. And bro, the number of people who are able to draw benefits without paying into the system, it's a real problem. So here, let me share with you something, Mike, that happened to me last night as I was shopping. I'm shopping at a Costco, and you've got to pay a little fee each year to be a Costco member, to get the card to be able to shop there. And so I went in and I just wanted to get a ribeye roast. That's all I wanted to get. It's about $100. So
Yeah.
my ribeye roast, I'm in line. And as I'm in line, I'm looking around. And, there's maybe 200 people or so, in all of the different lines there, checking out at Costco. And I've never been to South America, but I would imagine that if I were in South America, that's what it would have looked like, because everyone was speaking Spanish. And I was one of maybe 2 or 3 white males in the entire crowd of 200 people. And so I thought to myself, man, these people are all not speaking English. I wonder how many of them are buying their food at Costco with EBT. EBT
Yeah.
is SNAP, or it's welfare, it's food stamps.
Yeah, basically the old school food stamp or the modern food stamps.
Yeah, yeah. So, I asked the checkout guy, I said, hey, man, let me ask you something. How many people buy their food here with EBT? And he said, most people are buying stuff at Costco. And it's not just food. Most people are buying stuff with EBT. So I thought to myself, okay, where does this money come from? And it led me down a rabbit hole last night. I performed some research and I just started with California. That's where I wanted to start. Because I recall Elon Musk talking about these transfer payments and how if states like California did not receive federal transfer payments, they would go bankrupt overnight. So I thought to myself, all right, well, I know that illegal aliens draw medical benefits through Medi-Cal. That's basically just federal money, transfer payments. And I also know that illegal aliens also buy food using food stamps, EBT. That's also federal transfer payments. But I couldn't put any numbers to it. So last night I performed some research, put together some learning materials for myself. And Myke, man, what I discovered just kind of blew me away. The state of California is structurally insolvent. And if those transfer payments were to be shut off, the state would go bankrupt literally overnight. And all of those services that millions of people in the state of California depend on, whether they're here legally or not, those services would come to a complete stop. So the state would completely collapse if those transfer payments were to stop.
So that basically that argument that you always see on on social media, people that tend to be more left leaning, whenever people are talking about all the issues with California and if California separated from the United States, that supposedly the rest of the United States would collapse because it's like the state of California alone. They like to use this. The state of California alone is like the fourth largest economy in the world, or something like that. So basically, that's not true because the majority of the money that they use to function is coming from the federal government.
So let's just put some numbers to this, because the scale of this problem is like, it's mind blowing, man. In fact, if I can share my screen, I've got some resources here that we can take a look at real quick. So here, let me see if I can, a little plus here, and I'm just going to share my screen here. I'll go ahead and share my entire screen and we can hop in. Let me know when you can see this, and I'm just going to hop into Notebook LM. There we go. Awesome. So over here in Notebook LM, I put together some content. And the reason why I did this was I wanted to understand the scale of the, but I also wanted to figure out, well, what does this mean for interest rates? Because I want to be able to trade this. So I wanted to be able to put together a thesis for an interest rate trade. I wanted to be able to trade the yield curve based on what I learned last night about the size of the fiscal deficit in California. So take a look at this. Federal funding in the state of California for the social safety net programs is nearly 60% of all of the expenditures for these programs in California. That means that California is not sovereign. California is owned by the federal government because the federal government pays for all of these services. So the state has, you can think of it like two wallets. They have one wallet where they borrow to build all of the capital infrastructure. So think hospitals and clinics, stuff like this. So the state borrows to build the capital infrastructure, but the state doesn't pay for the services. The services themselves are paid for with these massive, look at the size of these transfer payments. The federal funding, this is annually $175 billion a year. And this is what pays for all of those services. So think, when I was in Costco last night, all of the people around me, hundreds of people in that store. I forgot to mention, as I was walking through the store, dude, everyone was speaking Spanish. Like, I was probably one of a handful of like actual English speakers in that Costco. Well, fuck.
Really quick. Let's circle back because the one of the things that you told me before that really made my ears perk up is you were talking about the progression of where you would get them the medical card, and then with the medical card they were able to get like basically a social security number and a government ID, and so on and so forth, and that basically it got to where they could got registered to vote and were able to vote. So I really want you to take us down that path, because I want people to understand that this fraud that we're seeing in Minnesota, it's not just fraud where they're allowing Somalis to have these childcare centers and they're taking all this money. I have some stuff. Byron Donalds, the congressman, just had they did a hearing today, and I have some stuff that we can show later. But he was showing that that money is going over to Somalia, to in Turkey to buy homes, and all kinds of stuff, possibly going to Al Shabaab, which is an Al Qaeda shoot off. But more so than that, I really feel this is only the tip of the iceberg, especially after what you told me, because and a show that me and Drew did about USAID a little over a year ago, talking about how the funding for all these global warming initiatives made their way to a bunch of NGOs who were run by ex-Weather Underground founders. And that money made it to BLM, Antifa, during that 8 months of violence, where they were burning and looting cities. And there's some NGOs, some organizations that were helping illegal aliens come here. And then there was, like the NAACP and other organizations like that were fighting for, their right to vote in our elections. All the while, from then what you're were telling me the other night is they were already had a loophole where they were allowing illegal aliens to vote. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, is that kind of what was going on?
So the challenge with proving voter fraud is that you don't need an ID to vote. And so in fact, in California, my understanding is that showing ID at the polling booth is actually illegal. But also, when you register to get a driver's license or an ID card, I think it's actually just the driver's license, you can also register to vote. And so that could mean that you get a ballot in the mail. Okay. And how do you prove any of that?
No, Washington, here, like, in where I'm at in Washington, it's mail-in ballots. So,
Yeah.
and most of the time mine's not even counted, because I usually vote right. And this is a, heavily blue state. And they seem to always, in the 10 years I've been here, they seem to always lose my ballot. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Just think about the structure of this. Like, on its face, it's clearly corrupt. So, number one, someone who is here illegally has not paid into the tax base. And yet, all you got to do is go to the Medi-Cal website and take a look at the benefits that are available. And they say right there on the website, if you're here illegally, you can get Medi-Cal, which is this pot of federal funding right here. This $175 billion, this is a lot of it for Medi-Cal. In fact, it's like 110 billion of this 175 goes directly to Medi-Cal. So who's drawing those benefits? Well, I'm sure that it's a lot of people who are here illegally and don't pay taxes. Okay. So why do I know that? Well, because I saw it firsthand. That was my job for years, for 2 years. That was my fucking job, bro. Like, I was very, very good at it too. But in the moment, I didn't really think about it because I didn't understand money then. It wasn't until I really got into DeFi full time in 2023. So I was doing this work during COVID. Okay. So 2020, 2021 into 2022, that's when I was doing this work. during all of the COVID shutdowns, I never listened or complied to any of those COVID rules. They were completely unconstitutional. I never listened to them, not once, unless people were literally yelling at me to put a mask on, and then I would just take it off immediately after. But so the work that I did was to get people services. Didn't matter if they were legal or not. So if someone came and saw me and they were illegal from Honduras and doing very horrible things to the community, that didn't matter. What mattered was I had to get them Medi-Cal services. First step, get them a Medi-Cal ID, okay? It's just a string of digits. Then all of a sudden, that's a backdoor into getting a social security number. So once you've got the Medi-Cal ID, you get the social security number, and then all of a sudden you can get an identification card and register to get a driver's license. And who the fuck wants people driving around in California who can't speak English? Like, that makes no sense, man. You can't read the signs. You don't know, like, that makes sense, man. So number one, you get the Medi-Cal ID. Number two, you get a social. Number three, you get a driver's license and an ID card. And unless by the grace of that person's virtue, they decide not to register to vote when they're getting that driver's license, they're going to get registered to vote. So number one, okay, after you're registered for all this stuff, now you can start drawing benefits. And the benefits are massive. Now, it depends on the county that you live in California. Let's take Contra Costa as the example, because that's the only one. Well, I know Contra Costa and all of the surrounding counties, and Contra Costa services are amazing. Like, dude, Medi-Cal is phenomenal health insurance if you know how to navigate the bureaucracy. All of your medications are going to get paid for 100%. All of your doctor visits are going to get paid for 100%. All of your operations are going to get paid for 100%. All of your transportation to and from is going to get paid for 100%.
So it's a universal healthcare freaking.
It's much more than that. It's much more than that. It's not just healthcare. It's all of the surrounding services too. So, like, anything that you need in terms of healthcare will be paid for 100% by not the state. It's coming from the feds. All of this money, it's like $110 billion a year in transfer payments from the federal government to the state of California. That money is what pays for those services. So it's not just the Medi-Cal. It's not just medical services. It's also, you need a house, you need a place to live, that can get paid for. You need to get a job. All of the counseling to help you get a job, that can be paid for. I mean, fucking A, man, like, you name it, like dental, vision, all of it, 100% paid for by the federal government through these transfer payments.
Let's talk about use of funds. You've talked about.
Can you hear this?
Some of these funds are used to buy property in Kenya.
Okay. I just wanted to cue that up real quick.
Yeah. So who's this guy? I saw. What's he have to say?
So this is Donald's. Byron Donalds, and he's freaking badass dude in Washington D.C. He's a senator or a congressman, sorry, and I want to say it's like North Carolina or something like that. But I'll play it real quick.
Yes, sir.
Property in Turkey. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Remittances back to Somalia.
Yes.
I think it's important for the committee to understand that these remittances in part are used in what's called the Hawala. I want to make sure I have the terminology right. The Hawala network. Ms. Robbins, can you speak to what the Hawala network is?
Yes. So it's
they're one of the money laundering NGO networks.
Yeah.
Right?
She's about to
explain
it.
A Hawala place in Minneapolis, which is like a money exchange or a money sending site, and they say, I want to send X amount of dollars, and then there's a receiving site in Somalia, and they put take the cash out. So money doesn't cross the border. It's an order for money here that gets transmitted to Somalia.
For the time, because I'm out of time, I want to expound. In Somalia and other parts in the Middle East region writ large, a Hawala network is a bunch of money exchangers hand to hand not bank account to bank account.
Exactly.
And what is clear in Somalia and other parts is that Al-Shabaab, the largest Al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia, they have their hands all through this network. So taxpayer money, United States dollars, that are being remitted into Somalia in part have been utilized or have fallen into the hands of Al-Shabaab. Do you think that's a correct assessment?
Yes, we have plenty of evidence of that, from money directly going to Al-Shabaab, but then also indirectly because they take a cut of whatever gets sent to Somalia.
There you go.
So,
So basically, we're funding terrorism through these daycares, and buying people houses, and just all kinds of craziness. And then on top of that, you have here, I'll share this real quick. This is from the show that me and Drew did a little over a year ago, and this is the Biden administration, all the stuff that they were doing for climate justice and climate change and all that. The billions and billions of dollars went to the Climate Justice Alliance.
It's a complete crock of shit, bro. It's a complete
Oh, it is.
bullshit.
No, and I went through and I did a deep dive into this. And so you have the LCSC, which is the Labor Community Strategy Center. And the director is Eric Mann. Eric Mann is one of the founders of the Weather Underground. It was a far left domestic terror group in the 70s. A bunch of them went to prison. They robbed an armored car and shot the guards. And so they ended up going to prison and stuff. So a bunch of the money went there. From there, it went to Susan Rosenberg over at Thousand Currents. Susan Rosenberg is another Weather Underground member. Then it also, the BLM founders, the three women that were the founders of BLM, they were actually not students of, but basically students of Eric Mann. So, they were basically this, insider network of, you have the Melina Abdullah, the BLM praised the Nation of Islam. And then you have, kind of Antifa and the Ruckus Society.
Dude, why is it that leftists have paired up with Muslims? I don't understand why Islam and
I don't get it either.
Like, you would think that these people would be at each other's heads because, obviously,
because
communism does not jive with Islam.
Like homosexuality and women and feminists. I don't get it. But anyway, so and then over here with elections and voting, you have the SWOP. Jeff Bartow over there is fighting for immigrant voting. The NAACP is the legal arm. That they're the ones, if you're not familiar, that are always fighting for inmates and illegal aliens to be able to vote. And it's basically an army of left-leaning lawyers that do a bunch of stuff. And then, of course, you have George Soros in there. The Emma Baker Center, that's the one of the ones that's fighting for immigrant and prisoners, felons, to be able to vote. But I went through and basically, here we go. Susan Rosenberg, Thousand Currents BLM partnership. She was with the Weather Underground. May 19th, communist organization, loves Mao. Wanted to free political prisoners in U.S. prisons. That's why they were bombing back in the 70s. Appropriate capitalist wealth. That was the armed robberies, the armored cars I was talking about. Initiate a series of bombings and terrorist attacks. You have
that's the old San Francisco DA who didn't prosecute any crime.
Well, that old DA is the son of Bill Ayers. George Soros.
Bill Ayers is Fox News? That guy?
No. Bill Ayers is the founder of the Weather Underground that went to prison. And so when he went to prison, his son got raised by some friends, and his son became the DA. I think it was of San Francisco or California. I have it down here in a minute. And he actually, let's see. This is his name.
So he was the
Boudin,
DA
son of Weather Underground members Kathy Boudin and David Gilbert, adopted by Bill Ayers. Sorry, I had it wrong. Not his son. He was his adopted son. 2011 to 2012, worked as a lawyer in the 9th District Circuit Court. Same name as Harris, was DA. 2019, he became the DA of San Francisco. And this is, just talks about who Eric Mann is. I kind of already went over that. BLM founder. Okay, this is Patrice Cullors, one of the BLM founders. She trained for a decade as a radical organizer in the Labor Community and Strategy Center. That this one here, that Eric Mann is the director of. She, for a decade, worked with him, a former member of the Weather Underground, the 1960s radical faction identified by the FBI as a domestic terror group. Then you got Barbara Lott, the organizer at the Labor Community Strategy Center. Southwest Organizing. You know what? I won't go through all this. You get the gist of what I'm talking about here. So
why is it that California has produced some of the very worst politicians to sit at the national stage? Like some of the most unqualified and just horrible performance of these politicians. How is it these people get elected in the first place? And if it's impossible to prove voter fraud, but you've got this massive social system that pays for everything and people are able to register to vote and get mail-in ballots, well then, man, I think what's going on is I think Elon Musk is right. I think that all of these social safety net programs are being built in order to get illegal immigrants to vote blue. I think that's what's going on.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's the common thread that I want to draw here. The daycares in Minnesota vote, basically import, blue leaning voters. This that I was just talking about, blue leaning voters in California. We have California and Minnesota. I would not be surprised. I haven't done any digging yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing wasn't going on in Washington State, because this state is insanely blue for the amount of conservatives that are here. Because I know for a fact that there is a lot more people that vote red than that show up in the polls. And again, I've been here for almost over a decade now and been voting, and not once, because you can go on the website and see if your vote got counted. Every single time they don't count my vote. And every single time I stopped doing the mail-in, I started going in and doing it physically, and still it never gets counted. So I don't know what's going on, but we have this here.
We know what's going on. It's called voter fraud, but it's like you can't prove it.
They're rigging elections. Absolutely.
How you can't prove it though? There are some statistical irregularities with some of this voter fraud that are literally impossible. So that's one way to kind of get a backdoor to proving some of this fraud.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, you got this, Waltz, I'm sure he's loving the, the distraction that's going on right now with ICE and all that in Minneapolis, because it's basically drawing attention away from his, I'll just come out and say it, criminal activities. So Governor Waltz fired a whistleblower one day before his fraud testimony. The program jumped from 2.6 million to 161 million, with 90% suspected fraud. Eric Rumdell was fired just 24 hours before he was set to testify about massive fraud in Minnesota's Housing Stabilization Services program under Tim Walz. Spending surged to over 161 million a year from 2.6 million, with auditors flagging overwhelming fraud risk. Critics say that the dismissal reveals an industrial-scale cover-up designed to protect political leadership from accountability. I was watching a news report earlier today where they were saying this was back in 2019. Yeah. And, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. Yeah. Those of you that don't know, there's a whole county. It's the district that Ilhan Omar is the congresswoman of, because it's overwhelmingly Somali. That's how many Somalis that they imported. I believe it was Obama that did it back
I
during
think
his.
didn't it start with Clinton, like in the 90s or something?
It may have. I didn't dig that far back, but
I heard
it's
the fraud has
obvious.
been going on since Obama, like for sure.
Yeah.
But so we've got to also ask ourselves, like, why import Somalis? Like, that doesn't compute to me.
I'm going to say something, and it's going to sound, it's going to sound racist, but it's a fact. Look it up. Somalis, and it's not all Somalis, but on average, this is a statistic. You can look it up. The average IQ in Somalia, it is the lowest in the world. It's like 80. The threshold for being mentally retarded was at 80. They actually dropped it to 70 because they felt it was racist to basically call a whole group of people retarded. So
it's not racist to point out facts on the ground, man.
I'm just stating what happened. And I honestly think that a lot of it had to do with there was because of the Black Hawk Down, the American troops that were there was a hatred of America and Americans, and usually unintelligent people or overly emotional people are easily manipulated or influenced. It's one of the things that they teach us in the military when it comes to psychological operations, things like that. If you can get somebody in an emotional state, they're very, very much more easily manipulated. So it's, if you import a bunch of people, they obviously had somebody teaching these people how to commit this fraud, because I'm sure that on this scale, they didn't figure it out on their own.
So what's their largest industry, Myke, in Somalia? Do you know?
Piracy.
Yes. It's like, dude, you imported retarded pirates and they started stealing. It's like, well, duh. Like, what did you expect was going to happen? But that's not the real evil, though. The real evil is
no, not at all.
Who decided to import these people, and then who told them how to bilk the system? Who taught them how to commit this fraud? Because there's no way that someone with an 80 IQ or even a 90 IQ is going to be able to figure out how to do this.
Well, and I think that they tipped their hand. Waltz and his crew, I think they tipped their hand because this guy Eric Rumdell, was set to testify, about all of it, and got fired, years ago. So it's obviously I don't have any evidence of it, but obviously, and I know that there was actually another. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I mean, this thing is crazy. You have the governor and his team going after whistleblowers, state employees, trying to do the right thing in Minnesota to explain the fraud that was happening, to get it under control. And it looks like Governor Walz, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, Keith Ellison, not only did they know about it, they were trying to protect the fraud to continue. These fraudsters were donating campaign cash to the governor and the attorney general.
Right. What's that about?
The whistleblowers who were coming forward were threatened. Their jobs were threatened. Their careers were threatened. And then we find out that the fraudsters were buying property in Kenya and Turkey, sending money back to Somalia. The money going back to Somalia could potentially have fallen into the hands of Al-Shabaab.
Yeah. So it's not. There's a very definite line between waste and abuse and fraud. So waste and abuse is, or waste is just exactly what it sounds like. You're wasting money. It's just they're inefficient. They're not responsible with it. It's not it's not criminal. Now fraud is when you are knowingly doing something illegal. You are knowingly, in this case, using taxpayer dollars to funnel it to these fraudulent daycares who are in turn giving money to it. From what we just heard, from the Senate hearing, Tim Walz, the lieutenant governor, the AG, the adjutant general, and or the attorney general, sorry, and potentially others. So
Bro, have you seen that Mayor Frey? Have you seen that guy?
Oh yeah, basically, yeah.
Did you see, there was a video that I saw of him, it must have been back in 2020 or 2021. So in communist China during, I forgot what they called it, when there was that big uprising of young people in universities, and they would like publicly shame their professors or kill them. There was a video that I saw on X earlier today of, I think his name's Jacob Frey, right? Of him being publicly shamed by a group of BLM protesters. Like during the 2020 or 2021 pandemic, he's wearing a mask and he's like condemning his own brokenness. It's like, dude, what a bitch. Like, I'm just so sick of seeing people like that, man. It's just so gross. And what's even more infuriating about all this is that it took a citizen journalist on YouTube to uncover it. Like, this has been going on, it seems, for decades.
Dude, it's obvious.
Like, it's out in the open. It's out in the open.
All of this stuff that I found, for this, that show that me and Drew did last year, all this was basically going on, like LinkedIn and, a couple of websites. And I was able to draw the lines. I looked and saw where the U.S. aid money was going, or the money for the, global warming initiatives and all that, and saw that it was going to this Climate Justice Alliance. And so I just started digging, and I just like, okay, who are they associated with? And I found that, the LCSC and, the SWOP and the NAACP, and, just started drawing the lines. I'm like, okay, well, who's in charge of that? And what's their background? So I went to LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh shit, Eric Mann, Weather Underground. Okay, cool. Oh, Susan Rosenberg. Oh, also Weather Underground. And just started basically, the BLM founders all were, basically, under the expert tutelage of Eric Mann for, over a decade, being, community organizers, which is basically what, that whole Summer of Love was for 8 months, where they were burning and looting. That's what they consider community organizing.
Well, Mike, it's happening right now as we speak, again, in the same places again.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, after Maduro got, after he fucked around and found out and got extracted by Delta Force, only a couple hours later, there were people in New York and cities around the country with like professionally made signs protesting this stuff.
Oh,
Where
dude,
the fuck did the signs come from?
There was like pallets of bricks that were getting dropped.
I remember that. Yeah.
There was, just they were very well funded, very well organized. They had all those, kids in the black pajamas that were running around with super expensive radios, like, military grade radios to communicate with each other and coordinate. I mean, it's not stuff that college kids are going out and buying it, at Radio Shack or Best Buy or something. They were very well organized, very well funded. And this is all out of the, out of the handbook, out of the communist, manifesto and all that shit.
Yeah, I brought this whole Somali fraud stuff up when I was visiting my aunt and uncle last weekend, and they're in their 70s and they're big, big time leftists. And
yeah,
my aunt was actually in the 69 Summer of Love whole movement thing up in San Francisco. And she was like, well, this fraud is just a drop in the bucket compared to the Pentagon and the government subsidies that get handed out in the military budget. And I was like, it doesn't matter.
But it's not.
And that's just Somali. Like, you look at all the stuff here in California, the stuff they're digging into in Washington now. I mean, how much of this runs deeper? And all the NGOs, you don't deflect just because it's
Well, I would agree with them that what we're seeing in Minnesota is the tip of the iceberg of a much larger, widespread problem.
yeah, but she's talking about the government itself. Like, oh, we need to look into all the fraud going on in the government and not so much the people in the SNAP program that are stealing.
Oh, no, we need to look at it all.
We need to look at it all.
We need to rip back the curtain, and I want to see the wizard. It's like that's,
I don't know about you guys, but I'm furious. I'm very angry about this because it makes me feel like a fucking sucker, bro. Like when I go to Costco and I look around and I'm surrounded by Peru or something, like in a large American city in California, and it's mostly people speaking Spanish who are not legal. And they're buying their food with EBT. And I pay taxes, and yet I don't qualify to get those benefits. It makes me feel like a sucker. And then if I needed to go and get medical care, if I don't want to pay for one of these ridiculous Obamacare exchanges, which are insane, by the way, and inferior quality healthcare too, I don't qualify for the phenomenal quality Medi-Cal care. As long as you know how to navigate the system, you can get great care. It's really good insurance, and it pays for everything. And my tax dollars pay for that shit, and I can't qualify for it.
Well,
but
let me
share you might as well just go buy their groceries right there. That's what we're pretty much doing.
Well, let me share really quick. I mean, kind of my experience in the military. So, government contracts, a fiscal, the fiscal year, the end of every fiscal year in October, they always got everybody together, and everybody just knew. They were like, get your wish list together. What if you need computers, if you need guns, if you need, fucking, parachute, whatever you need, desks, chairs, whatever, get your wish list together. And it's basically the way that all government works. Those of you that don't know, the way all government works, not just the military, is you're given a budget. And if you don't use it, you lose it. And so basically there's a mass spending spree. They don't incentivize, people being responsible with the money. They incentivize people wasting money, because if you're responsible with it and don't use it all, then the next year you don't get, they basically cut your budget. So you have to make sure that you max out your budget and then always request more. So that's why our government spending is always increasing, is you have all these government organizations and the military always max spending and then saying that was barely enough, we need more next year. And if you point this out, like I used to get in trouble all the time because I used to point it out, even going TDY, TDY is temporary duty, going someplace. If there was only 2 or 3 people going, they would give each person a rental car. They'd give each person their own individual hotel room. And I was always like, what the hell is going on? This is taxpayer money. If we're going to the same place to do the same stuff, this isn't a vacation. We should be sharing rooms. We should be sharing cars. What is going on? And it's insane to me. But
yeah, but it seems like that's
left, right, and middle should be furious at this.
Yeah, but that's got to be small beans compared to like the size of the fraud in California. It looks.
Oh,
like.
no.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's everywhere. Yeah. It's in Minnesota with the Somali daycares. It's in government contracts, which is in the billions, if not trillions. The taxpayers, they paid to train soldiers, and airmen and sailors to cook food for the military, drive trucks, to fix the trucks, to fuel the trucks, all these different things. That war that we had for over 2 decades, they had government contractors getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to fuel trucks and drive trucks and to cook food. And there's cooks and mechanics and truck drivers sitting around doing nothing. So the taxpayer paid to train these people, and then they paid billions upon billions of dollars that was basically our tax dollars getting funded to these these groups and organizations that It's wasted money.
Yeah, Mike, you know what makes it even worse though is if you notice this fraud and waste and abuse, and if you speak about it, you will immediately be labeled some, I don't know, a racist or a white supremacist or some other bullshit term.
Oh, dude, it affected my career. I retired as an E7. I probably would have gotten an E8 before I retired, but I was blacklisted basically, because I pissed everybody off because, everybody wants their own rental car. Everybody wants their own hotel room. They want to, live it up on the taxpayer dollar. And yeah, they put me in a desk in the, back of the building and let me finish out my last couple of years, until my retirement because I wouldn't shut up about it, because it's just, to me, it was our responsibility to be responsible with the taxpayers' money.
Well, what was Walt saying that, a lot of white men commit a lot of fraud, a lot more fraud. What was his fucking deflect? Like, if you
so
had to deflect
stupid.
like that and make up some stupid shit to say to cover your ass like that, come on, dude.
You know what's even worse though is that people believe him. And there are people right now in Minnesota and, just a couple of hours ago now, also in Portland, there were some gang members that were trying to run over ICE agents, and ICE agents defended themselves and shot the gang members. And now there's rioting in Portland. So this is exactly what we saw during the BLM riots. It's just a replay of the same thing. But
hold on really quick. I want to address this because this is a pet peeve of mine. DCA and Prey, he's talking about that on Caleb Hammer's podcast. Every vet he has on collects disability. Is this true? Yes. I'm one of the few vets that you'll probably meet that gets zero disability. I did not put in for any disability whatsoever because there's so many vets out there that really need it that don't get it because there's fucking dickheads that sat behind a desk, didn't do shit, and they say they have PTSD and get 100% disability and just ride the gravy train when there's guys putting guns in their mouths and hurting themselves because they're not getting the treatment that they fucking need. So this is
my brother is the same. He didn't collect any. He could have gotten some disability, but he's like, no, I don't actually need it like that. Like
exactly.
So
exactly.
You see the comment from Joseph Cupidor. How can we fix this? So there need to be high-level people indicted. The American public needs to see perp walks from high-level government officials who, at the end of the day, like, bro, look, if you gave me $10 billion and I'm the governor of a state, and it's my responsibility to make sure that those funds are spent appropriately, and I totally botch it, completely fuck it up, and Somali retard pirates end up stealing 90% of it, I would expect to get indicted. Like, how does this not, it makes no sense to me. Like, what's going on here? Why? Why is it taking so long? How are they able to get away with it for so long? How does that make sense? Like, it's not like we found out about this and it started happening last year. This has been going on for decades.
It's not like, what pisses me off is these people that are, faking this outrage in Washington, D.C. and shit. There is no freaking way that they don't know, about all of the fraud, waste, and abuse that's going on in the government. Maybe not that specifically, but there's plenty. You can't swing a dead cat in that fucking city and not hit fraud, waste, and abuse.
Yeah, but this is just so egregious. It's just like
it all is.
Well, I mean, but the daycare shit is like next level.
Oh yeah. No.
At the autism centers, the faking autistic kids and shit, and like, are you fucking sick?
But think about how horrible that is for the people who actually need those services, who pay into the system. Like, the people who actually need it can't get it because now the funds have been frozen.
Dude, there was some dude, some American young 20-something-year-old that died of an asthma attack because he couldn't get the medication because he had to pay rent instead.
Well, he was
like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah, he was rationing his inhaler or his insulin.
That's so wrong, man. So The research that I put together about the state of the insolvency in California, specifically around the social safety net, and I heard President Trump say this yesterday on Air Force One. He said, California, we're not going to pay them. And when I learned about the transfer payments to California from the feds last night, if those transfer payments stop, let's say they stop in their entirety, well, how long would the state be able to continue to deliver those services for? 37 days. It would take about a month, and then the entire social safety net would evaporate because the money to build the buildings is borrowed. The state can borrow to build the buildings, but all of the money to pay for the actual delivery of the services, the doctors' salaries, the nurses' salaries, all of the people, the social workers, everything, the entire system, all of that is 100% federal transfer payments. So if that money spigot is cut off, California collapses overnight and all of the services stop in just over a month. And it's like, well, would Trump ever do that? And I really don't think that he could, just because it would be kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Because California is so big and economically important that if that $175 billion a year were frozen and California were no longer able to receive those transfer payments, the entire economy in California would implode. And what would that do to the rest of the country? Probably not good things. So that makes me think that the transfer payments can't stop. But then how do you address this fraud then? Heads need to roll. People need to get indicted. That's what needs to happen. And it can't just be like the guy at the very top or the people at the very bottom. There need to be like thousands of indictments.
Well, let me pose this question. Jeff, you first. Do you think this can be fixed, or is the corruption and the fraud and is it so systemic that it's like a cancer that's metastasized and it can't be cut out?
Yeah, I've often wondered that myself. I mean, I really don't know unless, like David said, people start getting held accountable, like high level people, and that's why I was hoping that Trump would go after Hillary, speaking of accountability. Like that is something that I would have loved to see, but none of that's happened. Or the stuff with Obama and Russiagate, all these other things outside of the fraud, nobody's been held accountable for so far. And it's been really frustrating to see. So I don't know if anybody will. And Newsom now with the whole Capitol building, the NGOs that the money's been flowing through, and his attorney saying, we can't disclose. Like, what the fuck do you mean? That's our taxpayer dollars that you can't tell us where it's going. And so,
and the high-speed rail and the billions that was to fight homelessness and
the fire aid, all the fire money.
Yeah.
Well, I actually donated to that. I donated $20 to that. I wonder where it went.
Yeah. No, it's like, where does all this money magically go? I mean, is that conspiracy theory that there's like a freaking comet that's coming towards the Earth and they're building like a giant underground city or something? I mean,
and how many states? Like, are there any states that does Montana have zero fraud? Because standing people up there, or is it just every single state has some level of it, and the amount of people that are involved in all the states? How do you get them out?
I think it's fixable. I think this is fixable. I really do think that. Here's why.
Line out how you think that it could be fixed, other than just arrest people.
Well, here's why I think it's fixable. I think that most of the country is not retarded. I think that most of the country is not Democrat voters. I think that most of the country is actually much more conservative than it's made out to be. And I think that the mega speaker of the legacy media, if that were not DNC TV, if that wasn't there, then I think you probably got in each state like a small contingency of absolutely insane communists, but they're able to fraudulently rig elections, and they've got this legacy media loudspeaker that makes it look like there's many, many more of them than there actually are. And I think that also that cancel culture has made people almost like fall in line with communism in some way. So I think that if there was a way to, like, look, if you're going to be distributing propaganda on airwaves, well, hey, you know what? Maybe your license should be revoked. So if you cut,
these politicians that are inciting violence, there needs to be criminal charges.
You mean like
When
Tim
they're-
Walz?
Oh yeah, when they're getting up on the news and they're telling saying fuck ICE and get out of our city, and I mean they're inciting violence. I mean,
Earlier today,
Yeah.
Tim Walz was on TV. I love how he's got, the one retard with the hand signals in front, and half the time it's fake. It's not even real. There have been a lot of people who are just like random hand signs, and it's not even sign language. And also, why? Like, why is that even a thing? Okay, so that's number one. And then he's got like the tranny behind him. It's like the police commissioner. And it's like, what? Like, how is a tranny the police commissioner? Like, give me a break, man. That's retarded too. And then he's up there and he's talking about
Well, and she has
war
no
with the
experience.
federal government. War? The fuck is he talking about? He's saying a state has never been at war with the federal government. Dude, Tim Walz has overseen one of the largest frauds in the history of the United States. It happened on his watch. And rather than sending in the National Guard to quell the uprising look, I saw the video. It was really unfortunate that woman decided that it was okay for her to try to drive into a police officer. She should never have done that.
Yeah, you stop and say and communicate with them. Hey, move out of the way so I don't run you over.
And also though, it looked to me like the police officer, man, it's a tough call, bro. It's a tough call. But
I actually was having
I
this
can see it
discussion
both ways. It's
Texas
such a
Jeff.
shame.
Well, I'm going to share the discussion that because Texas Jeff, he was messaging me, when it was all going down, and he's kind of a little bit more left leaning, and he was telling me that that police that ICE agent murdered her and all this stuff, and I was like, I get it, but it's easy to armchair quarterback something like that when you're not involved, because sometimes your life it's a split second. You have to make a decision. And when somebody guns a vehicle and you're in front of the vehicle, your instincts take over, in that split second. And I honestly just feel like it was just a really bad situation. Tempers were raised, everyone was emotional. Again, bad choices are made when you're emotional. She gunned it and hit him. I mean, there's videos. There are plenty of videos.
Yeah, the slow motion, the gun was not out until after her vehicle went forward, and you can see, but he shouldn't have been standing in front of the vehicle.
She was moving.
Wasn't he ordering her to comply?
Hold on, slow down. Let me lay it out, because I went over it in a lot of detail because I was talking with Jeff about it. So one officer approached the window, the driver window. Another officer walked around the front and was directly in front of her in where the bumper is, or the hood. And she started to move forward, so he pulled his pistol. And then she, I guess, freaked. I don't know what went through her head. I don't know if she freaked out or what, because she saw the pistol drawn, and she gunned it. And when she gunned it, he went, kind of forward. And I don't know. I'm guessing that either, that's what, initiated him to consciously, or just, losing, because it was icy. I don't know if he just slipped and it went off. I don't know. But like about that far from the A pillar on the windshield is where the bullet went through. And then, what happened after that, I haven't gone into, but that is what happened. It's, again, It's really easy for people to get, outraged at the officer. I get it. It's, she shouldn't have gunned it. Absolutely.
She shouldn't
It's
have.
it's a horrible, horrible thing
Don't
that
put yourself
happened.
in that situation. If you want to protest on the side. And she had a kid too that she, like, what are you doing when you have a child?
You're right, man. Like
going out there, like
what compels these people to go out and think that if they lay their hands on a police officer, that something horrible is not going to happen to them? It just does not compute to me. Like, look, if you want to hold a sign and protest, okay, that's one thing. But if you're going to try to stop federal officers from doing their job, bro, you're going to get shot. Like, you just have to expect that. But why is it that there's it seems, see, here's the thing. It seems like there are a lot of people who are actually protesting this stuff because you see it on social media, you see it on legacy news. How many people are actually out there protesting this stuff? I think it's probably very, very few compared to the vast majority of Americans who are probably law-abiding citizens in favor of law enforcement here.
Well, how many of them are getting paid? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Probably most, bro. I mean, hey, it's a good gig, right? If you're like half a retard anyway and you can't hold a job, then just go protest professionally.
When in the blink of an eye, you have a bunch of like professionally printed out freaking, boards, and it makes it really hard to believe that it was just spur of the moment. It's almost like they had the stuff ready. They and this is a conspiracy theory. There's absolutely no evidence to support it, but put a bunch of people out there, all these people that are running around and pestering the ICE agents and throwing stuff at them and all that stuff, and eventually something is going to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody did. Somebody's going to get hurt, and then they can sensationalize it. And you can look on social media. A lot less attention is on the fraud right now because the new shiny object, got presented, and all the squirrels shifted their attention.
So what's the next step then? What if these protests don't stop? And what if there are thousands upon thousands of more people that are bussed in to Minneapolis in order to like bolster the numbers of the protesters? Like, what stops it? Because you've got a governor there who says that he thinks he's at war with the federal government. Like, bro, mind blown. That's crazy talk. Like, not good. What stops this? How do you bring him to heel? What does Trump need to do? I don't know. Does he need to, use the Insurrection Act and federalize the National Guard to put down these violent protests in Minneapolis? Is that what he needs to do? Does he need to use the DOJ to indict the governor in Minnesota? Like, I don't know what has to happen for this to stop, because like, it's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. And people are dying because of it. And it's just such a shame, man. Like, that woman had no business being there and doing that. And she lost her life because of it. It's a horrible thing that happened, but it should never have happened in the first place. Like, there should not be a population of people that are paid agitators who travel around the country in order to foment violence against ICE officers. That's insane.
Or anybody.
Or anybody, right. But how do you stop it?
There shouldn't be people paid to incite, freaking, violence.
Yeah. Look, I think that it can be I think that it can be stopped. I do. I think it can be stopped because I think that the number of people who are actual lunatics like that is actually quite small. And it's just that their voices are magnified 100 times over and they're paid. They've got money behind them. So I think that you kill the money spigot to these protests, these organized protest groups. That's number one. And then maybe you indict some people at the top of the protest groups, throw them in jail so they can't organize. That's number two. And then, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead and finish. I'll get to this after you're done.
Yeah. So, you cut off the money, indict the people responsible, And then you've got to do it in the open. It's got to be all out in the open so that the American public can see it. There can't be any backroom deals. There's got to be cameras in the courtrooms. It's got to be all out there on the open, and it's got to be blasted from a loudspeaker. Like the White House has to be posting this stuff on social media because people need to know that they're taking action, because you can be guaranteed that none of the legacy media is going to report on it.
Do you want me to tell you the easy way to fix all of it?
What?
Blockchain technology. Because if you put the budget on the blockchain, it's fully transparent. Anyone can audit it. You know, it would bring confidence of the people back. You put elections on the blockchain. It's fully transparent, fully auditable by anybody. You can see, you can basically do a, A/B comparison and, make sure that, only the people that, are allowed, legally allowed to vote could vote. Every person got one vote, yada, yada, yada. It basically, I mean, there would be no question of where our tax dollars went anybody, literally anybody, if it was all on blockchain, anybody could ensure that it was accurate, that it was legal, that, everything is above board. They could fix this very easily, but will they?
Imagine if that happens and then there's like an exploit and North Korea is able to siphon off billions of dollars or something.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying like put all the money on the blockchain. I'm just saying,
right. I was just kidding. Yeah.
Have the account,
Right.
so like, if, the Pentagon gets $1 trillion, then they have to itemize and say, hey, this went for this, this bought a toilet seat, this bought a freaking, M16 or, whatever. That just goes down the line, and it's like, basically there would be a full accounting for everything.
Why don't we just start with the voting? Let's put the voting on chain.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm saying that there is a solution, a very easy one, and it would not take a whole lot to, make that happen. So Crispy USMC, I mean, obviously he was in the core, Semper Fi, brother. The Insurrectionist Act and changed the ROE, which is rules of engagement. That's the basically the rules that we go by in the military that dictate when we're allowed to take action. Somebody shoots at us, we can shoot back. Somebody yells at us, we can't shoot back. That kind of thing. Need to take the handcuffs off of our officers so that they can do their jobs. Yeah, and I guess he went on to explain it. Same as troops in combat. The rules of engagement often, for some, are ridiculous. So some of us didn't have the same rules of engagement. So, but yeah.
And Matt was saying what was it, earlier this week? He was talking about his experience voting here, and basically had somebody not talk him into voting twice, but he went and voted, and then the guy was like, gave him the paper to vote again, and pretended like he didn't see him or something.
Bro, that's a serious felony, dude. They don't fuck around with that if you get caught doing that stupid shit.
Because I know he was in LA and he was like, this is wrong. But yeah, I'd like to hear more of his experience with that. Because my aunt, is so hard set on, there's not fraud in voting and all this stuff. And that superintendent, from Iowa, I forget the guy's name, but he was registered to vote in multiple states. And then she goes on and says, well, the DMV can register you to vote, but if you go and vote, they can catch you. And I was like, okay, how far are we going to stretch this? First, you say people can't register to vote if they're illegal. And then you say, they can accidentally register you to vote. But if you go and vote, you'll get in trouble. So what you're going to find out how many people actually fucking vote illegally.
Hey, Malik, I just emailed you a link to join if you want to come on and share your story.
Oh, he said it was center of LA, West Hollywood.
So I happen to know for a fact, with firsthand knowledge, that outside of the DMVs in Contra Costa County during the lockdowns in 2021, there were people standing outside the DMVs registering people to vote who were illegal aliens. I saw that shit, bro. So like, and part of my job was to get illegal aliens driver's licenses. That was just one part of my job. So like, I happen to know that this is real, that people who are here illegally are registered to vote. I don't know if they're actually voting, but come on, bro, of course they're voting. So it's just like, oh man, at some point, and this is something I was thinking about last night, what if Trump actually cuts off those federal transfer payments? What if he actually does do that, even for a short period of time, just to bring some of these Democrat governors to heel? What if he actually does that? Man, I don't know, but
I mean, I would love it now that I'm not in California, but man,
right. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. If you live in California, you have to get out.
But
like,
dude, I got out a while back, and as much as I don't wish I was where I am now, I don't wish I was there, because it's a shit show right now. I mean, pretty much all of my friends have left. Like, anytime I get nostalgia about LA, I think, wait, who's there? Nobody. They're all gone. Everybody's gone. It's nuts. You can't afford to live there, and there's nothing to do, because all of our jobs were eviscerated with the lockdown. It wasn't just like, for some people, the lockdown happened, they went back to their jobs, right? Not in LA. The jobs moved to London.
So when was that voting experience that you had?
So can you tell me what was the date of the George Floyd riot? What was the date of that? Does somebody know off the top of their head?
It was like June, I think, or something.
I'm going to show you a video. I've got a video that I'll just show you. You can watch it yourself. You can see what I was seeing. It's not. I just need to know what the month it was.
Hold on.
Yeah, so it says 2020, May 26th, May 25th.
May 20. Okay. May 2022, 23, 22.
No, 2020.
2020. That's right. 2020.
Yeah.
Man,
because they wanted us to stay 6 feet apart, but then
you
could go outside and protest.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, you could go to a weed store, but you couldn't go to church. Yeah. May 2020. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, everybody was getting real angry about being locked up, right? There was mass protests everywhere, and suddenly there's something else to focus on, right?
Bro, honestly, I didn't give a fuck. I never complied with any of that shit.
Yes, I understand. It's that everybody else complied and stayed indoors, and they were losing their damn minds. You could just see at the protests that there were some people out there, they just wanted an excuse to go outside without getting yelled at. People just wanted to be able to be out like somewhere without some old person. Okay, I've got it. Here we go. All right, May 20. Oh shit, it's more than I thought. Okay, I don't think I go back to I go back to May 2026 a lot. I mean, May 2016. That was a great time in life, but 2020 it sucked. Here we are. All right, so here's the video that I put on Citizen. Oh shit! How do I get this on a PC? I'm gonna make it happen here. Hold on, give me 2 seconds.
While you do that, I'm gonna play this. This is old freaking.
Tampon Tim, my favorite guy.
He's calling for everyone to unify with Minnesota.
Minnesota yesterday, a tragedy, the death of Renee Good on the streets at the hands of a federal agent. You also witnessed last night a beautiful vigil. A peaceful visual, people expressing their constitutional and First Amendment rights in a peaceful manner.
Losing his ability to speak English.
I've been very clear. We need a couple things here. We need Minnesota to carry out this investigation to make sure that the professionals at the BCA and the local law enforcement who's in charge of law enforcement make sure we do the investigation, and then to pull back this unnecessary surge. And so with that, I would ask for all of us to continue to do this peacefully, continue to raise our voices, but do so in a manner that brings about that sense of community. In Minnesota, I'm declaring tomorrow at 10 a.m. on January 9th, I'd ask everyone to pause for a moment of silence to remember Renee Good, also to remember all that's good and right about this nation. And I'm going to ask folks, if they can, I'd ask employers to give their people some space. I'd ask each and every one to find a way to contribute in your community.
Well, at least he's saying, to do it peacefully. I'll give him that.
I can't give him anything.
Because he's just such a hypocritical bastard. I mean,
no, I get that, but I mean, it's just, at least
he was being less tampon Tim than normal.
Yes, exactly.
Bro, Malik, I love that sweatshirt you got, man. That Bitcoin sweatshirt, dude. That is great right there, dude. Where do I get one of those? I can't. Shit. All right.
Can I? If you weren't at the Hit Network's offices when they moved to steal the swag, you weren't getting it because
I was gonna say that's got to be the Hit Network.
it is. Yeah, this old. I covered over the part that we don't want to see. I put a piece of tape over it. I put a piece of tape over it.
Is that your cousin? Everyone,
I'm never gonna let this one down. So, wait. I do have something on my. What size are you, bro? What size are you? I got a couple of these.
Double X.
Oh yeah, here we go.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Double X in my pants. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, how tall are you,
dude? How many of us thought that joke? How many people thought that joke?
6'3". Yeah.
So yes, so I've got two of these, and one of them's a double X, and one of them's an XL. That's sweet. So you tell me where you live, I'll send you that one. I literally walked out of there with as much swag as I could carry, because like I'm not traumatized by the name, but other people are, right? So I'm like, let me take it out of the state for you, okay? Because it's still cool stuff, and they were gonna throw it in the garbage, you know. So I was probably not being very sensitive, but. I just figured I could give it away. I figured this would happen right here. Someone else would want it, and I'd give it to them.
Jay says he does kind of look like him, minus the methamphetamines and the witchcraft.
Wait, witchcraft?
I don't know where the witchcraft came from.
Witchcraft always involves.
Oh, I think his ex.
If a dude gets involved in witchcraft, it was always a woman that precipitated it.
What's that chick he was dating, or he was like sleeping around with on his wife? She was kind of in.
Oh, there you go. Did he have a witchy girlfriend? Very LA.
Yeah,
very LA.
She actually was decent looking.
Yeah, I'm sure she was. He liked money.
Yeah, Cassie was a practicing witch.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, she definitely cast a spell on that dude.
Okay,
bro. So
this
you
video is
guys
like
might laugh about that.
And I can't get it to go. I can't get the video.
That's just dangerous, man.
No,
I don't want to show you the video like this. It won't work because you got to.
I don't fuck with the witchcraft.
No, dude, you don't want, dude. I've only seen, not heard, seen bad things happen with that stuff. It does not lead to good things. Whether it's because of the law of whether it's because of what you believe in or science, it's just bad.
Hey, freaking Cole says that Matt was going to be a priest so you could exorcise the demons.
I mean, I could if I had to. I probably shouldn't go there. I'm technically an exorcist, technically on paper still. So I guess I am in reality. It hasn't been taken away from me. So
you can exorcise the demons.
I've done it maybe once or twice, but again, that's not something you want. It's not something you actively want to do. It leads to crazy shit. Like you don't do that, and the next day you wake up, everything's normal. It's just not.
Nope.
It's crazy.
Well, you were in Hollywood.
Crazy,
all the crazy stuff in Hollywood.
That's where it all is. Like 90% of it's in Southern California. Now it's been dispersed across the country because people can't afford to live there. So people take their witchiness back home, and now it's in the suburbs all around the country. Now it's horrible. Horrible.
Oh, dude, no, like California, like exported like all of their craziness into Texas, Utah, Florida, like Idaho. I mean, up where I'm at, it's fucking they went everywhere, dude. And the problem is that they don't learn from their mistakes. It's like they go to these other places, they keep voting the same and doing the same shit. And it's like a cancer. It's spreading, the freaking cost of living because, they sold their houses for, millions of dollars. And then they move into these places where the houses used to be affordable. You used to be able to buy a house for like 80 grand, 90 grand.
Or they rent their home while they still own it, right? Live in like a side room and make more money by renting the thing. They become their own tenant.
Right? I just mean that they fled California
and left. Okay.
I went to
people that lived there, got lucky to buy something in the 80s, and now it's worth so much money, right, that they can't go broke. That's how most people live in LA.
Why is it that people don't know that communism is bad and that it's never worked and that it always results in mass murder and poverty? Why is that?
It's theoretical. It's never been made.
What's funny? My previous landlords. Me and my ex rented a house for 4 years here in the East Bay, just north of San Jose. And
just as bad.
The landlords moved to Texas, right? And it was the guy, he's Jewish, and his wife is from China. And she didn't like the politics and shit that were going on here, so they moved to Texas and kept the house and rented it out. So,
I mean, look, that's
and our neighbors
cool
were like, "Oh, I don't know what her problem is, with all this stuff going on here." And yeah, so
they don't know what the problem is.
It's like
don't they look around?
I'm sure she saw a bunch of shit like that in China and was like, "Oh fuck no, I don't want to be."
Yeah, right. She saw what the results were because she lived in China, right? People in Taiwan, they really don't want to be a part of China. Why? Because either they or their direct relative lives in China. It's that simple. And by the way, people in Taiwan do not like. There's even the party that's like pro coexistence, right? That like wants to like just do business with them. They would never say, "Oh yeah, let's become them again," because they know that means the boot's on their throat, right? Yeah. Do we control Taiwan? Sure. But do they feel it? No, they don't.
Well, I'll tell you what happened here in the U.S. is, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before.
Comfort.
There's an interview by a KGB agent in the 80s that defected from Russia, and he lines it all out. They infiltrated the education system, the colleges. Yes. They started the feminist movement. They, all that stuff in the the 60s and the 70s and all that.
And the schools is what they got into first.
Yeah. And basically what they did is they got the mom and the dad both out of the house. So basically the schools are the ones that educate them. They dumb down the education, the stuff that they used to teach, where they taught about the Constitution,
real
history,
about real math, real philosophy.
Exactly.
They don't do that anymore.
They got rid of it all because, I mean, hell, dude, you can there's these kids that are online, people like to laugh at it. I just cringe because you have people in their 20s and 30s that think Africa is a country.
Bro, it's so much worse than that, Myke, because I went to UC San Diego, and then I got into the back door to UC Berkeley. And bro,
I bet you did it. You were at Berkeley.
Bro, it was I'll tell you, man, I had to take an ethnic studies class to graduate from UC San Diego. Okay. And I took that class at the Berkeley City College. Okay. Because it was way cheaper. And when I'm at Berkeley City College, I had to denigrate myself and I had to denounce myself in front of the entire class. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fucking passed.
Yep.
Okay. Dude. So, and that was
that's what happened to me my freshman year in college.
That was 2017. Yeah, that was that 2015. That was 2015. So that was before it really ramped up when Trump came in 16.
So, but it started in the 90s because I went to college in the late 90s, and in the I went to a university in Chicago that no one has ever heard of to play sports, and I had a feminist teacher that I didn't even know what a feminist was, right? A feminist lesbian teacher in 1996 with purple spiky hair. This was like a rhino in the wild. Okay, it was chaos. And I was the only
great white buffalo.
And she called me a conservative, which I'm like, what? I voted for a Democrat. What are you? I was so confused. But they would say the most outrageous shit, right? And I was, and then, dude, expecting me to sit on my hands and not say something, it's not going to happen. It would be a riot. There'd be riots in every class, okay? Because I would just be like, no.
How many times did you get sent to the dean or in elementary school to the principal or whatever?
She tried to convert me hardcore. She saw me as a lost soul who sadly had parents, right? Who needed to be converted, except it turned me the exact opposite way. It turned me into a voter of Republicans for the rest of my life 10 years earlier than they say, if you're not a Democrat in your 20s, you have no heart. If you're not a Democrat in your 30s, you have no brain, that whole thing. Well, I learned it at 19 because these people were crazy, right? Yeah. So I just ran. Anything they were involved with, I'm going the other direction. And then you start thinking things that are true. You're like, oh, okay, man, maybe I was wrong with everything. Can't believe
oh my God. I was raised to be extremely left leaning.
Yep.
And as soon as I left home and joined the military, started traveling the world and actually saw with my own eyes, it was a wake up call for me. And I never considered myself to be extremely right leaning at all.
Me neither.
But the Democrat Party had moved so far left. If you are anywhere in the middle, if you were left of center or right of center, if you were right of center, now you're considered an extremist. If you were left of center, you're considered, a conservative. And I mean, I love those old Democrats, like from the 60s, that were just like, the government has no business messing with me.
All the people that like RFK, basically.
Yeah. But then you got the new ones where they like want government running everything. They want government involved in everything. And it's just like, what happened?
They think government is the only solution. They don't think government's one solution of many. They think government's the solution that you default to for everything, unless the government just can't do it. But right then you ask a church no, dude, exact other way around, dude. Subsidiary.
They don't want Trump and the Republican, the right-leaning government.
They don't want people.
But they were happy when Biden and Obama.
Sense.
They were happy to comply with all of that.
Dude,
bro, Trump isn't even right-leaning. He's a centrist.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
he's probably
he's
a centrist.
Selected Democrat, just like
I think we would all have been centrist in 1996 when Bill Clinton went against. Remember Ross? Who was alive? You're old enough to remember Ross Perot, right?
Ross Perot, yeah.
Dude, when that happened, we were probably both centrists, like in reality, right? But politics has moved so much. It's exactly 20 years. That's weird. This is the 20-year anniversary of 1996. But yeah, this is 2026, right? Yeah. So that's right.
Doesn't it seem like there's some type of coordination layer? Like, so what?
100,000%.
Right.
It is coordinated, period. I don't care. I have evidence because I have eyes. Okay.
Right.
You could not organize the riots that I witnessed. Dude, if I didn't have that app called Citizen, I would have died that day. Because I would have walked outside my house going to get coffee, and I would have walked right into a raucous BLM protest, improperly dressed, just like unconfused as to what the hell was going on, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, I woke up and there were like 400 notices on my phone, and I hear 6 helicopters. I'm like, wait a minute. We have a hospital. So there's one helicopter noise usually, right? Because the hospital, right? But when you hear 2, 3, 4, I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong. I look up there, I'm like, oh, shit.
What are you rolling up, David?
Well, this is
the only solution, I think.
When I roll up, man, I like to make it half tobacco in there. So
okay.
I got, yeah, man. That's so I just sit and, what I do is I sit and I work and smoke all day. That's like all I do every single day. I work basically from the moment that I wake up until the moment that I fall asleep.
That's what I've been doing here in the wintertime. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it.
What kind of tobacco?
American Spirit.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was going to say probably a natural one, huh?
Yeah, man. Like, but look, isn't there some type of coordination layer amongst all of these Western democracies? We saw it during COVID, where it seemed like the response to COVID was coordinated across all of these Western governments at the same time. Same policies, same time, Western governments. And now, thank God for Trump, because, dude, if we had had Kamala and Tampon Tim, we would be totally fucked. But
dude, I mean, look what he's doing in freaking Minnesota. Imagine that on a national scale. Holy fuck.
Look at Britain and look at Western Europe and look at Australia. Like at a certain point, but when do we have to halt travel from Europe? Like what the fuck, man?
Now, when Gary Oldman told me in 2009 that he became an American citizen and he would never go back to Britain unless it was for work, right? I was like, well, you're British. He said, no, I'm American now. And London is lost. I'm like, what? This was like way before anybody knew, right? I was like, well, they're really never wrong about anything. Him and his partner, like every time I thought they were wrong, they were always right. Like it became so bad that I was like, I would just say, okay, even if I wanted to argue with them, I'm like, I'm just going to listen and see what happens. Right again. It's just a matter of time. So they seemed wrong for long, but then one day it would something like, oh shit, they were right again. And
it's like, dude, you know this stuff is on camera, right? Like there are receipts for most of this stuff. Like you don't have to guess about it anymore. And thank God for Elon buying Twitter. Because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have a window into any of this. It would all be censored.
Even if the X experiment fails, he loses his money. His uncovering all social media, right, with the government was an essential moment in American history for moderates to finally go, oh, wow, the mainstream media might not be telling us the truth.
Well, dude, like that's a perfect segue for this. Jay was just saying this. He said, "You guys remember seeing the news stations all saying the same thing?"
Yeah, that was freaking crazy. That was a weird.
Biased and false news has become all too common on social media.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda controlling exactly what they
dude. I mean, it's a total fucking.
Where did that come from? Who or how, that can't be? No one could argue that's an accident.
You know what's crazy? Mike Benz. He's my favorite investigative journalist. He has exposed that stuff. He's done such a great job going through it because it looks like, unfortunately, that is coming from us, man.
It is. It's coming from the CIA.
Shit, exactly.
Sorry, I shouldn't say it out loud, but that's where it's
like, dude, look,
man, I mean, like, how long do we have to pretend like it's not true?
They're the best criminals out there, man.
The camera goes out and freaking it comes back on and his chair's just spinning.
Yeah, dude, you know, I'm at least going to get a shot off. I'll tell you that right now, okay?
Yeah.
Give me when I'm dead asleep, which is very possible. But, you know,
get suicided, you know, shoot yourself twice in the head and hang yourself at the same time or something like that.
If I don't die in epically crazy fashion, you know it was wrong. Like, just if you hear that I died some way crazy, it probably was me. Like I did something stupid, or like if it's something totally moronic, it was me. But if I died like very superficially or odd, probably them. Unless I'm much older, you know. I have nobody in my family has died that did not. I don't want to say self-inflicted, but my mom dying of lung cancer directly related to like 10 packs, like 3 packs a day, right? Like people only get that. It's not the cancer you get if you just wake up one morning, right? It's smoker's cancer. So yeah, my grandparents all lived, even though they were smokers. So like, I don't have just the die early gene. It's totally sort of a gene, not that we know of. And I've done all those blood tests, all those tests you can do. Are
you vaccinated?
You don't want to get them, but
did you get vaccinated as a kid?
Did you get the jab?
Yeah, but I was before the current set of vaccines. No, I'm old. We only got 3 vaccines when we went into first grade. So
the COVID vaccine.
No. Oh, I thought you said when I was a kid.
Either.
I had the RFK schedule, the one they just reinstated. That's the vaccines I got. So
that schedule, man.
I got 11.
That schedule is a gold mine. A gold mine. That schedule is a gold mine for those pharmaceutical companies because they can't be sued. So if you produce a product,
dude, I did a documentary on it. It's coming out in a couple weeks.
It's nuts, man. It's so crazy. Like
so crazy that they found a way.
Vaccine inserts.
They didn't even. Vaccines were so unprofitable to them that before the government made them unsuitable, they wouldn't touch them. The moment they became no risk, let's pump them out like crazy. Let's go from 12 or 11 to 72. And I didn't touch that. Listen, I got extreme social isolation from my family.
You got a couple shots, but nowadays it's insane the amount of shots that they give.
And the worst part about it is the efficacy, Mike. The efficacy.
Well, and just little, like they're still developing. I mean, their brains are developing, their body's developing, hormones, and you wonder why we have all this mental illness. I think it's the food that we eat and the vaccines that get injected is why we have this spike in autism and mental illness and just all these social issues.
A lot of
it's pretty obvious.
Have high heavy metal loads in their bodies.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm not an expert on it, so I won't talk too much about it. But that's always been my thing about it. Because, I mean, if you look, at the correlation, it's the more vaccines and the more unhealthy our food gets. It seems like the more fucking nuts everybody gets.
Well, because Mike, those shots, they have these adjuvants in them, which are mostly aluminum. And it's like, okay, who thought that was a good idea to inject?
I know that it's a preservative. It's supposed to be a preservative.
Well, and it's in such a small amount, don't you know, David, that it's okay. And it's only
injected into an infant. That's cool.
Yeah, it is only to incite the immune system enough to
it's only to cause the immune system to take.
We're going to put this aluminum in you for a minute just to see how it feels, just for a minute.
And it's crazy. The correlation in time to all of these chronic diseases that didn't exist, man. None of these chronic diseases existed before like Crisco and vaccines. And so it's like, okay, well, our food is all poisoned and all infants get forcibly injected with like a ridiculous dose of heavy metals and all sorts of other bullshit as infants. And it would be one thing if you knew for certain that all of these diseases that we're getting vaccinated against were deadly and untreatable. And so you had to get vaccinated because otherwise we were going to have pandemics and epidemics of global proportion all over again, but it's just not the case. All of these diseases are treatable. And like, why the fuck is an infant getting vaccinated for hepatitis B, bro? Like,
because they want them to get hepatitis.
Hey, do you guys?
They want the babies to get hepatitis. That's really the answer.
You guys are old enough. Matt's definitely old enough, but
I am.
Are any of you old enough to where you remember whenever somebody in your circle got chicken pox? The moms would freaking send all of the kids over so that we all got chicken pox.
Dude, we wanted them to get chicken. We wanted one dumbass to get chicken pox so we could all go to the chicken pox party.
Yeah, I remember that.
They wanted to get it. The older you get, the worse it is. So
we did want to get it when we were young because we heard the stories, right?
Yeah.
But once we got it, then we just wanted to be the ones going to the parties, right? Chicken pox, the pox parties. We didn't know that pox parties was like actually like a bad, it's like kind of historically speaking, not fun, but
like, what's the risk reward though? Like, what's the informed consent? Like, if you're going to a doctor and that doctor is getting paid to push those vaccine products on your kid, that doctor is not going to tell you, hey, by the way, this Hep B vaccine that I'm about to inject into your infant, I'm getting paid $700 for this shot.
$700.
Well, dude, that? It's I don't know. I mean, I kind of stopped going to the doctor just because every time I went, the first thing I would tell them when they ask you all those initial questions, like any medications or whatever. I'm like, I do not take medications. I will not take medications. Don't write me a prescription.
No liking medication.
Yeah, I lived my whole life without them, and I just don't need them. And it never fails. At the end, I'm going to write you this prescription for this. I was like, I told you, I don't take. I will just fill it in case you need it. I'm like, no, I'm not.
With vaccines, the doctors weren't just told they'd get paid. If they didn't do it, they were threatened that they would lose their licenses. It wasn't just
dude, I didn't know that.
The doctors are just being given financial incentive. They're being given like deep-seated fear. And
lose your career.
When I heard RFK say it in an interview when during the pandemic, he was considered a kook, if you guys remember, right? Like, so I was actually arguing against putting.
That's how you know he's right. That's how you know he's right. Yeah.
My girl made me go, so if you don't like this guy because of what you've read about him, is it possible that like he's the one that's being hit, like smoked? I'm like, oh, you're right. Could be true. So once I heard him talk, I was like, bro, we got to fix your vocal cords. But other than that, you're awesome, right?
Oh, dude. Cole brought up the Tuskegee, the syphilis thing that they do. Tuskegee
experiments.
Group. Yeah, that was pretty messed up.
Very messed up.
Yeah.
That's the first document, like the first receipt we have of some seriously gnarly shit, right?
Well, do you know like after well, I mean, you guys probably know, but Operation Paperclip, you ever heard of that?
Of course.
Please tell the audience though. I
know. He's running NASA.
Basically at the end of World War II, there was this huge race. The Russians, the British, us, everybody involved. There was a big rush on getting our hands on the scientists that developed rocket technology and all kinds of medical advances.
Werner von Braun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, really, smart scientists that were able to develop some really crazy shit. And so, the US got a bunch of them. Like David was just saying, that's who started NASA. That's the rocket technology that he knew from, what was it, the V2 missile or X2 missile or something like that.
Go back to World War II with recruiting
the Germans. Any of you that are history nerds, the Germans were this close to having basically a modern day missile.
But they were getting the nuke part, though. They were getting sabotaged in Norway.
The nukes, we were sabotaging the nukes left and right, but we were not sabotaging their ballistic missiles because that was technology that hadn't even been thought. We developed the nuke, but we didn't have a way to shoot it ballistically yet. Well, the planes flew over and then dropped them.
Hold on. To give a frame of reference, those of you that don't know, like if you're not into history or whatever, those of you that don't know, to give you an idea of the type of technology that was at the time, is World War II is when they developed radar. So, basically the thing that sends out radio.
It's what our Navy used against the Japanese to beat them.
It's, the stuff that they used in ATC. So that had just been developed. I mean, that was like brand new technology.
The Japanese aircraft carriers did not have radar. That was So they had superior carriers in every way, more aircraft, but we could ping them and they couldn't ping us.
So speaking of false flags, do you guys think that we knew about the attack on Pearl Harbor and intentionally allowed it to proceed so that we could destroy Japan?
I have heard very compelling arguments to that. Yes.
So,
but not in the same way, not in the way that we caused it, but that it's possible.
No. There was just
with modern communication, it may not have been possible to quickly enough in time stop it. But could they have alerted them so that they would have started even a couple hours early to have moved? Yes, I think there was a conscious decision made, probably in the 24 to 40 hours before, right?
Right, and what would have been one of those decisions to get the carriers out of the harbor, right?
The fact that
make sure they're not there.
All of our carriers were safe is probably the reason we're not speaking German. Let's be very honest here.
Oh, we were winning. We were winning in Europe. So that was December 7th, and it was about to be Omaha Beach, right?
A lot more people to Japan. Wouldn't we have sent a lot more people to Asia? Like if we didn't have carriers, we would have had to commit way more of our forces to the Asian theater. That's what my history says.
Very easily. If Hitler wasn't getting those vitamin shots,
right? Exactly. They would have fucking won, man.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, that doctor, either knowingly or unknowingly, he's the one that.
What was he getting? Cocaine? What was he getting?
Meth.
No, it's meth. It was.
You ever seen the videos of his hands shaking?
Yeah. Yeah. No, but
that wasn't Parkinson's then. That was just him going crackhead.
It made him paranoid as shit. It made Hitler paranoid as shit.
That's what it does.
He stopped trusting his generals.
Right, and power centralized in him. And he was totally smoked at that point, so incapable of making good decisions. But his generals were capable of making good decisions if they had the power to. It was the power structure.
Power away. Yeah.
It was the power structure that ruined it for the not. Well, I'm not saying ruined it, but that's why they lost.
Rommel,
they were totally winning. Yeah.
Well, Rommel and the other generals. Yeah, no, because they were the ones that were just. I mean, I'm trust me, I'm not. I don't.
I'm not saying pro that at all. I'm just saying but
this is history. Those generals? I mean, that small country of Germany took over almost all of Europe, North Africa.
Not small, but it's not big, right?
Well, but they took over almost all of freaking Europe. Yeah. They were fighting the Russians on one front, the U.S.
That itself, I'll never understand.
Germany took on the whole freaking world.
Germany, Japan, I guess,
And it's like
their successes moving through Poland and through France and the Netherlands and just literally steamrolling through with that blitzkrieg. That success was unprecedented, and they should not have. I mean, look. It's a great thing that those 300,000 troops in 300,000 at where was that beach that all those British troops? It was the last of the British expeditionary.
They got
they all got pinned.
What's the name of the beach?
What's the name of the beach? But those 300,000, Yeah.
No,
No, France.
In
France, you're talking about Omaha Beach?
No. So the Blitzkrieg, the Blitzkrieg pushed all of it. They took over everything, but there were 300,000 British troops left that were pushed onto a
the whole
beach.
army, basically.
Yeah, the rest of the army.
Yeah,
And that army should have been destroyed.
No, hold on.
There were a bunch of blunders
Normandy?
that are directly attributable, military blunders to Hitler.
Jay says Normandy.
No, that's the end of the war.
That was the other side. That was coming from Britain into France. There was the rest of the British Expeditionary Force was stuck, pinned against a beach after getting their fucking ass whooped by the Nazis. And they were able to get, they got out on boats. It was citizens, right? It was like an army of citizens with their boats crossed the English Channel.
Had this idea to send a citizen brigade, right? Here we go.
And they extracted the army and saved them to fight another day.
Alderney was the one that the Nazis thought they were in, right? Because there were two. So they had to choose which one to go after.
300,000 British expeditionary forces pinned to a beach.
No, I just know that, basically if he would have kept listening to his generals.
I didn't put army in, my bad.
I honestly think that we would be speaking German right now.
Well, so the reason the Germans didn't kill all 300,000 of these Brits.
Dunkirk. Yeah.
It's because
Oh no! I saw a movie about that.
Yeah, dude, it's the movie that won the Academy Award that Gary Oldman. Okay. Which is why because of that fat suit, he refuses to wear a fat suit in the show he's in now. So he got fat actually in real life. He's like, I'm only doing this movie. I'm only doing this television series for $100 million a year, literally $100 million a year. If I get to eat as much as I want and be fat, and they're all like, fine, be fat. So he's fat. Literally.
Imagine having that type of star power. Imagine having that type of influence where you can demand money like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. What do you mean? They were begging him. He didn't want to do TV ever. But when they said we'll give you $400 million up front to do 4 seasons, he said, okay, well, sure, let me do TV.
Hey, so on back to that topic of false flags, though, I want to see what you guys think about this. So. I said, okay, maybe World War II, December 7th, false flag there, maybe not. But I think what was definitely a false flag was 9/11, for sure. That was definitely a false flag because Tower 7 and the Twin Towers, but let's focus on Tower 7. Dude, Tower 7 wasn't hit by a plane. And the explanation for its collapse does not hold up at all. And in fact, the only towers ever, steel frame buildings, to have collapsed as a result of fire are the World Trade Center buildings. And this is from some FEMA, it was a FEMA report that I was looking at, where they examined some of the steel after the collapses of the Trade Center towers. And on the steel were thermate, these pieces of thermate that had not gone off. And there were also these metal little spheres, millions of them, tiny spheres. The dust, it was from thermate. That's what happens when thermate cuts through all of those pieces of metal all at once.
I don't know. I gotta tell you.
Hold on real quick. Thermite's a chemical, and they have it in the military in grenades. And basically what it is you can pull a pin on it, you can put it on an engine block on a car, and it will melt straight through an engine block. So it's a way to disable vehicles and stuff. But what David's talking about is they found traces of this chemical in the metallurgy, the metallurgical study to find out, why did they collapse? And they found this chemical, and it's called thermite.
But it's a certain type of thermite, though. That's called thermate. It's like a special type of thermite, and they use it to demolish buildings. What the fuck is that doing? I just wanted to
make sure that people understood, what you were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. So Tower 7 is very super suspicious. And also just think about those guys who purportedly crashed those planes into those buildings. They could barely take off or land a Cessna. There's no fucking way that they would have been able to fly those planes from 30,000 feet down and hit the towers. No fucking way. And also at the Pentagon, dude, like tell me what hit the Pentagon, because for sure it was not a plane.
You can't get a plane that low to the
And
ground.
where's the wreckage of the plane? Like there was no wreckage of a plane there at all. And then
That's the thing that sticks out.
There was no wreckage of a plane in the field either. And like when you look at what the people who were on the ground in that field in Pennsylvania, like the coroners or whatever had to say, they like left immediately because there was no plane crash there. Like there's no wreckage of a plane. Look at the photos and video from then.
No, that's the one thing that I took notice on. I mean,
did it just evaporate into the ground? That's not what happens.
No,
it's like there would have been a lot of wreckage.
The plane didn't exist, right? Are we?
No, not at all. I'm just saying that it doesn't look like a plane crashed in that field to me at all. And then also, it seems as though there were bets made, like a lot of put options, unusual options activity in the stock market, like in the days leading up to 9/11.
Thank God they didn't have a market, huh?
Fuck, man, on the specific companies that fell the most after 9/11. Like, so it seems as though someone or some group profited from it. Like, I don't know, man.
Nothing.
But if that's true,
at this point,
what does that mean, man? Like after COVID and 9/11 and going into Vietnam was a false flag.
My bingo card is full, brother. It's like I never thought would happen has happened. So my bingo.
We don't want to get banned off YouTube though.
Like I want to, as an American, I want to be the good guy in the story, bro. I want to be the good guy here. And like, to understand what's going on today, I think you have to read history back to at least like 1912, at least.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, I always think, okay, an American, I'm the good guy, right? Yep. And then I read my own history and it's like, oh, fuck.
Sure.
Maybe not all the time. And that makes me just think, well, if these things are true, what the fuck?
I struggle with them deeply. So
what's up?
I have a theory on this. I want to.
Wait, go ahead.
Finish.
What's your theory?
Oh well, it's very clear to me that there are like 4 superpowers in the world: Russia, China, the good CIA, and the bad CIA.
And big booty Latinas.
That's not a superpower. That's a power. Okay. So that's a power in the universe. But it seems to me like in the United States, we have almost 2 parallel governments, right? I don't even think this is a conspiracy theory anymore. The amount of gold that the CIA, what was the CIA called in the military intelligence? What was it called?
OSS. It was the Office of Special Services or something.
Office of Special Services. Yeah. The amount of gold the Japanese had stolen in every country in Asia that had not been transferred back to Japan yet, that has never been returned to any of the home countries. None of the countries have it. That just mysteriously are OSS, right? Every single person in the OSS that was involved in bringing German scientists to the United States, they ended up running the CIA. All of them. That's how you got your job. So you became a big shot in the American military intelligence services. The moment one moment we knew we won, the next thing you did was go rustle up some fucking Germans.
Have you read any? So
we knew that if we left them to themselves, they'd have blown all our asses up.
You know who you should read? Read Annie Jacobson. She's a military historian, and she's written a bunch of books. And her books on this period, dude, they're great. They're so good. You can listen to them on audiobook. They're really, really good. And she's got a soothing voice too. I don't know if you guys ever like listen to audiobooks, but sometimes if you listen to an audiobook and the dude's voice or chick's voice is not, you can't do it. But Annie Jacobson, it's like listening to a grandma tell you the most crazy history about us. It's great.
The history of us. Correct.
Annie Jacobson.
Anne Jacobson?
Yep. She's great.
Yeah.
Oh, she was on Rogan last year or 2 years ago.
I'll look her up.
I think she's been on at least once. Yeah. But she's really, really good.
I've been wanting to start
on Sean Ryan too. She's
asleep. I hear that, like listening to.
So we're the good guys and the bad guys for the chat.
I think we're definitely the good guys, especially we're for sure the good guys because like look at if you compare us.
Team, but we also have a bad guy team.
Yeah, but we also have a bad guy team, and that's unfortunate.
And sometimes they work together. And when they do, we never lose. You want to bet my ass they agreed on Venezuela? Want to bet my ass? Bet my ass. Nobody.
The argument that you're making is about like a uni party. And I think that things over the last 2 decades have really changed. I think that there's a bifurcation. I don't think that they can work together anymore because I think that really,
except for Venezuela's oil.
I mean, I don't even think that.
Oh, okay, I get half of it. You get half of it. Okay, there's enough oil in Venezuela for both of us.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that there's this level of vitriol from the left against Trump. It's like this cognitive dissonance that is pervasive amongst every single one of those people in the Democrat Party. And it seems like nothing he does is ever good. And that's just dissonance, man. Like they don't have a platform. It's just orange man bad. That's it. And communism. Like that's what they're offering. Communism and orange man bad.
Communism.
And, bro, like,
I honestly, I mean, just, purely my own politics aside, they can threaten to kill me. Tell me freaking, yeah, I don't know. All of it is just so weird. Especially out where I'm at, just kind of watching it, it's almost like it's all a reality show, because
doesn't seem like it happens so fast though, because if you watch clips from like 1990 or 2000 of like Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton, like, dude, they sound MAGA. And I don't remember straight up blatant communist mayors in 1990 and 2000 or 2010 even. But from 2010 to present day, that's what, 15 years? What happened?
Bill Clinton was a conservative by our standards right now, literally.
Yeah.
Sadly, as crazy as that is,
that's so weird, man.
He was a conservative. Like he did welfare reform. He cut the budget. He balanced. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
What do you think was the catalyst for it to go from like, okay, there are two parties, but it's kind of a uni party to like such total, like the left went into the loony bin. What was the catalyst for that to happen so fast over 15 years?
I think it was always there. It's just they exerted their power and control. They got so powerful that they decided to exert it over all of everybody at some point. And we know that Reagan was worried about it.
Yeah, but was it a focus on race?
Poured,
what was it? Like, how were they able to divide people and get who should have been otherwise normal people to believe stuff that is like clearly false? Like, how were they able to confuse language so easily to get people? Like, for real, man. Like, they changed the definitions of words so that people are always confused and don't know what reality is.
Yep. The phones.
All
screens.
That would make sense, actually, because
especially screens to the young, screens to Gen Z and millennials.
You see what happens? Like the parents that give their kids the tablet, and when the parents take it away, it's like they're on fucking drugs.
It's like they have drugs. Yeah, it's like they're going through full withdrawal. Yeah,
exactly. That's not healthy. That's not normal.
No, that's definitely not normal. No, it's not normal.
Man, how does that get fixed? Is that fixable?
I don't with how prevalent this is, and right. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not, obviously, freaking I'm in front of screens all the time.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trust me, I'm not getting on a soapbox here, but it's
have you noticed, Myke? Does it fuck with your attention span? Because it does mine. It really does, dude.
No.
Like, it doesn't? Okay. No. Yeah, my screen time must be crazy.
It messes with you badly. So if you're me, yes. Him, no. He's not ADHD. I am. So there you go.
I was when I was a kid, but just through like discipline and focus and just the military.
I did it too. Not as well as you did.
I get laser focused on things like crypto.
Me too. I get hyper-fixated too. Yeah.
Right, but I find myself though getting kind of manic and task switching a lot, and having a short attention span.
Did you get COVID? Did you get COVID?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, many times. So I got it. I got it 3 times, at least 3 times.
We didn't get the jab.
I never got it.
So you're the only one here that wasn't infected.
I got vaccinated too.
I'm the purest of the purebloods.
Dude, I I got
so
so
here,
bad.
let me, dude. So I got that from the shot. So in 2020, in December, I started getting sick, and then by 2021, in January, I tested and I was positive. I actually got sick with the Delta variant. That one actually made me sick for about a week.
They tried to kill us with it.
So that one actually made me sick, but it was like a flu. Like I'd rather have that than the flu, to be completely honest. I would have anything. The flu. I've had the flu a couple of times. It lasts for weeks. So like, yeah, I'd rather have COVID, the Delta, than the flu. But after I got over it, I was working in healthcare, and I thought in 2020 that vaccine meant you can't get it, you can't transmit it, and I thought that would mean we go back to normal. Right? Life can go back to normal.
Me too.
And so I was so gung-ho to get it that I fucking got it in January of 2021, the Pfizer vaccine. And after I got the second dose of that Pfizer vaccine, I was deathly ill for like a solid 24 hours. Like, dude, it was like the entire Delta COVID experience condensed into one day. Like, I thought I was going to fucking die. It was horrible.
Hey, Malik. When I hear something cool, we got more people watching on the arena than we do on X and YouTube.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
Yeah, but
I shift,
and we're not even. Dude, we should be number one in the arena.
That's what did it to me.
I think
that's what changed everything for me, because I started for the first time in my life to see the ground truth, and then to see the media, and I saw. These things do not jive, man. Like what I see and experience on the ground is not what they're telling me. And then I started looking and reading, and I realized, holy fuck, this is all bullshit. And I had like a moment where I was in my boss's office, and it was 2021 at some point, like the height of the lockdown. And he was asking me, so you think CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS and all of them are all lying to you? And for the first time in my life, I said, yes, they are. And he was like, no, man, no. But because like we were up until that moment.
We just watched that freaking
I was
video.
Drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. Up until that moment.
If you didn't have that video at the time, the amount of pressure that was put on you to comply was just enormous.
It was. And in fact, I'll tell you, I actually helped some doctors. I was friends with a bunch of emergency room doctors in Contra Costa at the main health clinic in Martinez. And so part of my job was to talk to these people every day. And I helped them get exemptions because I got myself an exemption. I fucking made it myself, bro. So I actually went to a synagogue, and I went to this fucking synagogue in Walnut Creek. And I spoke to the rabbi, and he brought me into a room, this big room with this big desk. And I told him like, hey, I don't want to get this booster, but my job is telling me if I don't get this booster, I'm going to get fired. I need you to write me an exemption. And he told me, what, are you some type of MAGA Trumper? And I was like, bro, fuck you. And I walked out. And then I just wrote the thing myself. And I told him like, look, bro, I am not getting this booster. If you want to fire me, fine.
Booster.
And they didn't fire me. They needed me. They didn't fire me, but I refused it. And I had doctor friends of mine who called me to ask me, hey, how did you get a religious exemption? And I just told them like, fuck, man, like just don't take it. Like, you know, so.
I was glad I was retired from the military. So
you didn't have to deal with that.
And I mean, I was retired and I wasn't working. So I was just, I really did feel for people like you though, that, you know, you had to like either take a stand or comply.
It was like, bro, look, I'm not taking it. So like you can fire me, but no. And I had a lot of people who asked me how to do that. And
I applaud your conviction, man.
Well, I mean, look, I saw so many people in that line of work there. I saw a lot of people
with his mouth. Do tiny hat stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. That shit that they do is so weird, man. What the fuck is that? Like I've heard about that, dude. That is, that's fucked up is what it is. But yeah, man, but what happened to us during COVID was what real authoritarianism looks like. And I'm just so worried that if JD Vance doesn't win in 2028, or if the Republicans don't keep the House this year, that shit's going to come back. And I think it's going to come back to California first. And I think the reason it comes back to California first is because of the fiscal deficit here, those massive transfer payments. And so if Trump decides to bring Newsom to heel by cutting off that money, it will kill California, and then the authoritarianism will come back. There will be some type of emergency this or that, and it'll be lockdowns again. And bro, like, I got to get out of Dodge while we still can, you know? Because
I've been telling my family forever to get out of California. It's like, I love California, the place, but I cannot do the politics.
And the taxes, and for nothing.
Yeah.
For nothing, you know? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, what happened? How did this happen? I don't know. But what I do know is that every single town that I've been at over the last 6-7 months in Northern California, and I've lived in over the last 7 months, I don't know, like 10 different towns, just from Santa Cruz to Ukiah. And in every single one, except for the one that I'm in now, I call it the grocery store test. Go to the grocery stores in the town and just take a look at the people that are there, you know? Yeah. And like, the demographics have changed radically and quickly, such that now I'm the minority in Northern California. A white person, I'm the minority here now, for sure. Like, at least when I go to any supermarket, I am. And it's like, well, what the fuck, man? Like, it makes me think that there's no hope. That's what it makes me think. Because I just don't.
At least in this state.
And I don't think there can be change, because the way that it's a one-party state, like the incentive structure, it makes it impossible for a Republican to ever get elected. So it makes me think nothing can change. And then the size of the fraud that I'm sure will be uncovered in the coming days, it just makes me think also that everything I've been told about what tax dollars go to do is just a lie. Everything I've been told is a lie.
Yeah.
And fucking
I think that's how a lot of people feel. You know, I think a lot of people out there, left and right, are frustrated. You know, I mean, because it's not like, you know, Trump's not doing it. You know, we talked about at the beginning of the show. You know, he threw $1.5 trillion at the military. It's like, how about we go through things and clean things up before we throw more money at it? You know, there's, you know, all kinds of other government programs that are in the same boat. I mean, the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in, you know, the past 9 audits. It hasn't passed a single one. And you're going to give them more money? It's like, what the hell? It's almost like they want the system to fail. They want the system to collapse, because no one's this incompetent. That's what frustrates me. You know, our government cannot be this incompetent. They might seem stupid sometimes, but no one's this freaking stupid. If I'm smart enough to understand that, you know, having a balanced budget, you know, spending more than you make or they take, you know, it's simple math. There's only one possible end when you're, you know, printing money to infinity, and, you know, you don't have anything back in the dollar except your military, basically. You know, it's not healthy. So that's my frustration, but that's my closing thoughts. David, what's your closing thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm about to leave California in a couple of days. I'm moving to Miami, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, what's going to happen to California? You know, what's going to happen to this beautiful place? Because all I have to do is spend 5 minutes on X and take a look at scenes from San Francisco or LA or San Diego, and all of the places that I love and I grew up in are falling to shit. And they look like third world countries. Like, dude, Oakland is some scary shit, man. Like, parts of LA are scary as fuck, dude. And that's not what America should be. And that's not what California was even a couple decades ago. And it just makes me think, like, what does the future hold? And where do I want to live? Where are we going to see actual recovery and growth? And I think it's got to be Florida, man, because I think that the governor there, the leadership is doing something right. Obviously, that's where everyone wants to go. That's where the opportunity is. So I'm thinking about this place in Miami called Brickell. It looks like it's becoming like Wall Street South.
I used to live in Miami.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking. So that's what I'm thinking about.
It's
Get out of here
amazing.
while I can.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing down there. You'll love it. I mean, there's plenty of culture because like my half my family is Cuban, Cuban and Puerto Rican, and so I grew up down there for a while, and amazing food. Like go down to Little Havana, places like that, and just try some of the food if you haven't had like real Cuban food before.
That's basically where I'm looking at staying.
Dude, you'll find your mom slap her because she never cooked like that for you before. It's it's amazing. But Jeff, closing thoughts.
I'm really going to focus this next year or two to get out or formulate a plan to get out of the state. Just because it's like affording anything out here outside of renting an apartment is just not. If it's feasible, it's not smart, like fiscally smart, just because you're throwing money away when you could be putting it to good use in another state that has a lot better, taxes and places to live, that isn't surrounded by shitholes and 100,000 homeless people and just rampant drug use. And I was at the store yesterday, and I was at Sprouts, and they said, "Oh, we don't have any plastic bags anymore because the state outlawed it, and you have to buy reusable bags now." But everything in the fucking store that they're selling has plastic bags in it. That's all, everything's in plastic and shit. But they want to they're so worried about the environment that the plastic bags are the problem. So it's just so stupid. All the shit like, oh, it's the plastic straws. They're going to cause this. Like,
they're going to end up in a tortoise nose.
Yeah. But, now Newsom is signed something about spraying folic acid on shit, which causes neurological issues and is a big fucking health problem. So these people are fucking idiots, sociopaths controlling this place. And I'm like, man,
I've been saying we need to like build a crypto colony up here or something like that. Just buy a piece of property and subdivide it into like 1 or 2 acre plots, and freaking just do a little community. We can have chickens and all that stuff, and live and eat healthy, and freaking do crypto and just freaking chill.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be mentored by this senior designer that I worked with at my last job, and because he has his own business and he does a lot of freelance work, and nice. I'm going to be learning a lot from him on how to get started doing that, so I can fucking go anywhere and just do design work remotely full time and not have to be stuck here in California. Yeah, it's formulating a plan.
Shame? Isn't it a shame, man? Like, I don't want to leave, but at the same time, I feel like it's home, right? I grew up here. I've spent my entire life here just about. I don't want to leave, but I feel like I'm being forced to.
That's how it was in Utah for me. Is it changes. I mean, when I was a kid, Utah was awesome. There was hardly anybody lived there. The mountains were pristine, just everything was just awesome. And then a lot of people from California moved there, and the price of everything went up, and it just, everything exploded, just building shit everywhere. Now the whole valley's filled. It's just bumper to bumper traffic constantly. There used to be no traffic, no matter where you went, what time of day, there used to be no traffic. And it went to shit. You try to go hiking to get away from it all, and there's a pollution layer. Like you actually can't see through it to see the ground during the winter time, during inversions, because the cold holds all the pollution down. So it just collects. So you have to get out of that just to get some fresh air, and you go up in the mountains and everybody's up there. It's just, I don't know if you've ever been to Arches National Park down in southern Utah. The hike to get there is just this ocean of people. It's like an army of ants going over the red rocks. It's just insane. And so I was like, I'm out of here. I can't do this. But I say all that because, I mean, it sounds like it's kind of the California for you guys. You grew up there. It was awesome. And then it just kind of became this. And you're just like, I love you, but we got to break up. You know, it's like, you know, so.
Sucks,
All right, man. It's getting late. I know you guys got to go.
All righty. That was fun. That was a good
dude.
Call, bro. We should do this on Kick. We should do this
What's
on
that?
Kick and Twitch. We should live stream to Kick and Twitch.
Let's talk about that this week. Let's do this again next Thursday and not do it on YouTube, because I can tell like I'm only showing 23 people watching on YouTube. So I think that a lot of the stuff that we talked about, I think the AI that's running YouTube,
we get censored.
Yeah, I think it throttled us.
Yeah.
But you know what? I want to speak the truth. You know, I want to put stuff out there and let people think for themselves. You know, I like having an open forum where just anything goes. And hey, let's talk about some controversial shit. You know, have some differing opinions, debate it. You know, let the chat have a say in it. You know, just I think that's healthy. You know, but it's you know, unfortunately, you know, computers and AI and the powers that be don't like free
Censorship
speech.
sucks, bro. I hope Britain doesn't lose X. That would be just
yeah. Talking about
yeah.
So if everybody could, if you're watching on X, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on the arena, if you could, you know, please share this out. I mean, you know, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. You know, be honest. You know, again, you know, was this entertaining? Was it something that
I hope so.
you're into? Because it's entertaining for us, you know, but I'm just kind of curious. I'm always curious, you know, what people out there think about the content that we put out. So yeah, let us know, man. But thank you, gentlemen. Until next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.
See y'all tomorrow.